You are losing sleep over something Allah already has under control. What if the peace you are searching for begins the moment you truly trust Him? In a world filled with uncertainty, pressure, and constant noise, worry has become a daily companion for many hearts. We worry about our future, our finances, our relationships, our health, and our mistakes. We replay conversations, fear outcomes that have not happened, and exhaust ourselves imagining worst-case scenarios. Yet in the middle of all this anxiety, Islam gives us a powerful reminder: Allah is in control. Not some of the time, not only when things go well, but at every moment, in every situation, even when life feels completely out of our hands. When we worry excessively, it is often because we believe that everything depends on us, our effort, our planning, our intelligence. While Islam encourages responsibility and effort, it also teaches us that results are never in human control. Control belongs to Allah alone. He is Al-Wakil, the best disposer of affairs. He sees what we cannot see, understands what we cannot understand, and plans with wisdom that goes far beyond our limited perspective. Allah's control does not mean life will always be easy. It means life will always be meaningful. Sometimes He delays to protect you. Sometimes He denies to redirect you. Sometimes He breaks your plans to build something far better for you. What feels like loss today may be mercy in disguise. What feels like silence may be Allah preparing the perfect moment. When you truly internalize that Allah is in control, your heart begins to soften. Your worries do not instantly disappear, but they no longer dominate you. You learn to breathe again. You learn to say, I have done my part, now I leave the rest to Allah. This is not weakness, this is strength. This is Tawakkul. The moment you stop worrying excessively and start trusting sincerely, you begin to experience a peace that cannot be explained by circumstances. Because peace does not come from having everything go your way. Peace comes from knowing that whatever happens is part of Allah's plan. And Allah never plans without wisdom, mercy, and justice. So stop exhausting your heart with fear. Stop carrying burdens you were never meant to carry alone. Turn to Allah in prayer, in dua, and in surrender. Place your worries where they belong, in the hands of the one who controls everything. Because when Allah is in control, nothing is ever truly out of control. Worry comes from forgetting who is in control. Worry often begins quietly, almost unnoticed, when the heart slowly shifts its focus away from Allah and places excessive weight on human ability, planning, and control. A person starts believing, consciously or unconsciously, that their safety, success, and future depend entirely on their own efforts or on the actions of others. When this belief settles in the heart, anxiety naturally follows. Every decision feels heavy, every delay feels threatening, and every uncertainty becomes overwhelming. Islam addresses this root problem directly by reminding us again and again that absolute control belongs only to Allah. He is Al-Qadir, the one whose power is complete and whose authority encompasses every detail of existence, seen and unseen. When a believer forgets this reality, worry multiplies because the human mind is limited. It cannot predict the future, prevent all harm, or guarantee outcomes. No amount of overthinking can change what Allah has decreed. Yet the heart that forgets Allah tries to do exactly that. It tries to control what was never meant to be controlled. This creates an inner conflict. The soul is weak, but the burden it carries is enormous. Islam frees the believer from this exhausting cycle by teaching a simple but profound truth. Nothing happens outside the will of Allah. No hardship arrives without His permission, and no relief comes without His command. And remembering who is in control realigns the heart. It teaches the believer that responsibility and reliance are two separate things. You are responsible for effort, sincerity, and obedience, but the outcome belongs to Allah. When this understanding becomes firm, worry begins to lose its power. You still plan, you still work, and you still strive, but your heart is no longer attached to results. Success no longer inflates your ego, and failure no longer destroys your peace, because both are understood as part of Allah's wisdom. This awareness also changes how a person views fear. Many fears are rooted in imagined futures, scenarios that may never occur. When you remember that Allah controls the future, those imagined fears lose credibility. You realize that if something is written for you, worry cannot prevent it. And if it is not written for you, worry cannot bring it. This realization does not make a believer passive. Instead, it makes them emotionally grounded and spiritually stable. They move forward with confidence, knowing that whatever lies ahead has already been measured with precision by the most merciful. Forgetting Allah's control makes the heart restless, but remembering it brings tranquility. The Quran repeatedly reminds believers that hearts find peace only in the remembrance of Allah. This peace does not come from solving every problem, but from trusting the one who controls every solution. When the heart returns this truth, worry is replaced with surrender, fear with faith, and confusion with clarity. The believer begins to live with the deep conviction that no matter how chaotic life appears, Allah remains in control, and that alone is enough to calm even the most anxious heart. Tawakkul brings peace even before problems are solved. One of the most misunderstood concepts in faith is tawakkul. Many people assume that trusting Allah means waiting until problems are solved and then feeling at peace. In reality, true tawakkul works in the opposite direction. It brings peace before solutions appear, before doors open, and even while uncertainty remains. Tawakkul is not the absence of difficulty. It is the presence of calm within difficulty. It is the decision to place your heart in Allah's care while your circumstances are still unresolved. When a believer practices tawakkul, they acknowledge two truths at the same time. First, that they are limited, and second, that Allah is unlimited. This acknowledgement removes the unbearable pressure of self-dependence. Instead of carrying the weight of every outcome on their chest, the believer says, I will do what I can, and I will trust Allah with what I cannot. This shift is powerful, because most anxiety comes from trying to control what lies beyond human ability. Tawakkul releases the heart from that impossible task. Peace through tawakkul does not mean emotional numbness. A believer may still feel sadness, fear, or concern, but these emotions no longer dominate the heart. They are contained within faith. The believer turns to Allah through dua, prayer, and remembrance, not as a last resort, but as their first response. When you sincerely raise your hands to Allah and then place your trust in Him, something inside you settles. You may not know how or when help will come, but you are certain that it will come in the best form. One of the greatest benefits of tawakkul is patience with divine timing. Many people suffer not because of their problems, but because of their impatience. They want immediate relief, instant answers, and quick change. Tawakkul teaches the heart to wait without despair. It reminds the believer that Allah's delay is not neglect, and His silence is not rejection. Often, Allah is arranging matters in ways the human mind cannot comprehend. While you wait, He is refining your character, strengthening your faith, and protecting you from outcomes that may harm you. This trust also transforms how hardship is experienced. Without tawakkul, hardship feels like punishment or abandonment. With tawakkul, hardship becomes a test filled with meaning. The believer understands that every difficulty carries wisdom, even if it is hidden. This understanding brings emotional stability. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And begin to say, Allah is teaching me something through this. That perspective alone brings peace that no external solution can provide. Ultimately, tawakkul creates a deep inner security. Even when life feels uncertain, the believer feels held by Allah's care. They sleep with a calmer heart, speak with more hope, and move through life with quiet strength. This is the peace tawakkul offers, a peace that does not depend on circumstances, but on trust in the one who controls them all. Allah's plan is always better than human expectations. Much of human worry is rooted in attachment to specific outcomes. People imagine a particular path for their lives and become emotionally invested in how events should unfold. When reality deviates from those expectations, disappointment, fear, and confusion take over. Islam addresses this struggle by reminding believers that Allah's plan is not only different from human plans, but far superior to them. Allah sees the entire picture, while humans see only a fragment. What appears good to us may carry harm, and what appears painful may be the very thing that saves us. Allah's wisdom operates beyond time and immediate results. A believer may ask for something sincerely, work hard for it, and still not receive it. At first, this feels like rejection. But with faith, one begins to understand that Allah does not withhold out of cruelty or indifference. He withholds out of knowledge. He knows the future impact of what you are asking for, how it may affect your heart, your faith, or your direction in life. Many people later realize that unanswered prayers protected them from situations that would have distanced them from Allah or caused long-term harm. Trusting Allah's plan also reshapes how loss is viewed. Loss does not always mean failure. Sometimes it is a necessary ending that allows something better to begin. Allah may remove a person, an opportunity, or a comfort from your life to redirect you toward growth, healing, or deeper faith. These moments are often painful, but they carry hidden mercy. A believer who trusts Allah's plan learns to grieve without losing hope, and to accept change without losing faith. This belief gradually replaces fear with contentment. Instead of constantly worrying about what might go wrong, the believer rests in the certainty that whatever happens is part of Allah's decree, written with wisdom and justice. Even when outcomes are unclear, the heart remains anchored in trust. This does not eliminate effort or ambition. It refines them. The believer strives while remaining detached from outcomes, knowing that Allah will choose what is best. In the end, trusting Allah's plan is an act of deep faith. It is the belief that your life is not random, your struggles are not meaningless, and your future is not out of control. When this belief settles in the heart, worry begins to fade, and a quiet confidence takes its place. The confidence that Allah's plan in every situation is always better than human expectations.